really scary to fly now because there's no masks. My name's Eric. This is above my pay grade. Let's get into it. So, reading a couple stories on Zero Hedge today, and there's some customers who are now too scared to fly because of the mask mandate being lifted. I find comical. I do, everyone has their views, and people are entitled to those, whether you think it helps or doesn't. But hypocrisy is it's a fascinating thing. But there's a lot of customers who are wanting refunds on their flights because they they think that they'll get COVID, which I find odd, because they have the vaccine. Probably the same people that think that gender is a social construct and doesn't exist, yet we need to fight for gender equality. It just, there are certain things where you're like, you need to self-examine just a touch. I think there's going to be some fascinating developments. I saw something on YouTube today. A guy tried to mace somebody in a Costco because he got too close to them without a mask. Interesting people out there. In some good news, at least I think it's good news, Elon Musk bought Twitter today. And you may not be a user of Twitter. I'm actually not a user of Twitter. But a lot of prominent people, including news organizations, are. And it often sets the news cycle. And even though that Twitter is way smaller than Facebook and things like Instagram, Twitter often sets the news cycle because the people that are on Twitter are reporters, things of that nature. So why do I think it's a good thing? Philosophically, I think you need to be a free speech absolutist. What do I mean by that? Well, if you think that some speech is questionable and some speech is not, or some speech should be outlawed and some speech should not be outlawed, I'm sure your fellow citizen some of your fellow citizens would have the exact opposite view on what speech should be outlawed and what speech should not. And therefore, where do you make that compromise? Free speech absolutism, I think, is the only compromise you can make as far as what should be legal speech. Doesn't mean people won't have consequences for saying certain things. Doesn't mean you can incite violence, literal violence, call people to violence. But it does mean you have to have a standard, and that free speech standard is for things you don't like to hear. I mean, obvious stuff to me. But it reminds me, there was a case, I think it was back in the 60s, where the ACLU fought for neo-Nazis' free speech because they believed in free speech absolutism. And I don't see that today, but it's not something you don't fight for. You 100%, in my opinion, this is a hill to die on, is free speech. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like that Elon bought Twitter? Is it something that's a nothing burger to you? You don't care? I think it definitely moves the ball towards free speech. Let me know what you think. So, another piece, I think, of news, I don't know if you'll take it as good news or bad, but Title 42 is a temporary law Trump put in place to allow, I'm reading here from The Hedge, it's a public health order that enables immigration agents to quickly expel illegal immigrants because of concerns of immigrants having COVID-19. And I've said this many times, people can, if a leader is not perfect, that means they're human. And people don't expect perfect leaders, but the sin that a lot of people have a hard time forgiving is hypocrisy. Let me give you an example of that. Title 42, the Biden administration wants to rescind that, while at the same time fighting in the courts over the mask mandate being lifted on public transportation. So to me, and this is what it seems like to me, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but it seems like COVID-19 is over at the border, but not on airplanes, which help me make sense of this. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But when I think about a lot of these things, because why does it make people so mad? And honestly, I really think it's because it really doesn't make sense. It's hypocritical. And people are okay with you making a decision with your best judgment. But when you make a political decision, or let's say a hypocritical decision, it seems very political. It's not rocket science. And this is one of those situations that seems very political to me. Let me know what you guys think. But overall, I thought it was kind of a cool day to see that Musk bought Twitter. I think that's a win for free speech. I was legitimately excited when I heard that news, and I think that you should cheer on that kind of person who believes in free speech. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the ramblings. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.